If you were to ask an epee what their least favorite word is in fencing, I bet you'd hear the word passivity. So today, what I'm going to explain is the current passivity rules. They may be subject to change in the future, but as of this date, which I'll put on the screen, these are the rules. So, as you already know, there are 3 rounds of 3 minutes in epee for the fencers to fight each other. Well, the rules of passivity state that every minute a point must be scored, and if a point isn't scored, then the rules of passivity kick in. If passivity kicks in, then the referee stops the match and gives a very special P card out, which is either yellow, red, or black. Apparently this can also happen in foil, and this is what it would look like. He's going to draw out the card now. Yellow P card, meaning passivity, and yeah. If both fencers have the same amount of points, then they both get a P card. If one of them has more points than the other, then the one with less points gets the card. Now I know that these P cards have the same colors as the cards that I mentioned in the fencing rules video, yellow, red, and black, but they are not the same thing. They don't exist in the same plane at all. I'm going to repeat that again. They're not the same thing. They don't exist in the same place. Remember, one has a big P on it. If you get a normal yellow card and then a yellow P card, they do not interact at all. They exist in completely different areas and never mingle together. The reason for this is because they deal with completely different issues. Regular cards deal with the normal rules that we deal with, and the P cards only deal with passivity. Now that I've made it abundantly clear that they are not the same thing, let's go into how they work. The first card that you can get after passivity is called is a P yellow. A P yellow is simply a warning. It doesn't do anything other than tell you that this happened for the first time. The next card that you can get is a P red, and a P red is a penalty hit to your opponent. Now in the case where both fencers get a P red, then both fencers go up a point. The way that both fencers get a P red at the same time is that both fencers have the same score when passivity is called. Therefore they both get the P red and they both go up. You may be asking yourself, what's the point of a double P red if both people go up the same amount of points? It doesn't really change anything. And to that, I will give you this scenario. Let's say that both fencers are fencing and they're in the later part of the match. Let's say they're at 13-13, and then they both get called for passivity and they both get a P red, and now it's 14-14. The whole match has changed. Now it's sudden death. The whole point of the P red is to make the match progress because they're not fencing enough. So at a later part of the match, it can drastically change everything. In that scenario, they were doing nothing, they were being way too passive, and now it's the last point. One thing to note though, that once you are at 14-14, no P cards can be given out. Moving on, however, after the first P red card, you can get another P red card if passivity is called again, and then from there, you get a P black. If the fencers somehow manage to get to the P black stage, this is what's going to happen. If one person is the recipient of a P black card, then their match is over and their opponent moves on to their next match. It doesn't matter how close the match was. The fact that you got a P card 4 times is enough for them to say, okay, that's enough, you're done, on to the next person. Your match still exists in the system. It's not like a regular black card where you're scrubbed from the tournament like you were never there. It was simply that you lost this match and that's it. In the case where both fencers receive a P black card, then it becomes a subject of what's your ranking. The fencer with the higher score coming into the tournament, so therefore before the tournament started, is the one who wins if both fencers get a P black card. This means if you're a fencer fencing someone who's ranked higher than you before the tournament started, and you're both on the edge of getting a P black card, you have to get a point. And that's the gist of how the passivity cards work. To summarize, cards are handed out when there's a minute with no hit. The order of the cards is yellow, red, red, black. If both fencers are tied in score, then they both get a card. If they are not tied, then the one with the lower score gets a card. And in the case where both fencers get a P black card, the fencer with the higher ranking coming into the tournament is the winner and moves on in the tournament. I hope that explains how passivity works in epee. I know that people have a lot of questions about it. It's changed over time, so it makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below and I'll be happy to answer them. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching.